Do you like red eyes? Did you spend too much on Selection Box Volume 3 Mini? And if so, this is Red Eyes Trap Hell. Hey yo YouTube, Origami here, welcome back to the channel. So, guess who went back to get their playset of Red Eyes Fang with chain? Yeah, we did. So today we're going to do a deck profile trying to include some of the new Red Eyes cards from the Selection Box Volume 3 Mini, which we did do a pack opening on. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Overall, it is quite an expensive deck with a lot of pieces from different sets that you might not really want to go and get. I was trying to utilize and showcase some of the new cards in a viable deck, of course, with the Red Eyes engine at its core. This was the one that worked the best in the end for me personally, but it ain't great to be honest, and it's a Red Eyes trap deck which existed way before the new Selection Box was released, but it was the kind of deck that suited the new cards more, so let's get into it. We're a trap deck, so the skill is going to be Endless Trap Hell. You need 3 or more traps in your graveyard to activate it. Randomly add 1 trap from your graveyard to your hand, then return all other traps in your graveyard to your deck. This skill can only be used once per duel, so you can kind of recycle a lot of traps back into your deck, but it's also a +1 into your hand, and when you take into consideration this skill plus the fact that it's a 30 card deck, stalling is sort of an option but not really what the deck is for. So as usual, we start with the extra deck. The main card is this Red Eyes / Dragon, which will be mostly summoned with the singleton Red Eyes Fusion, and that's why we only play one of this. 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon plus 1 Warrior Monster, and my usual target is the AD Changer, but Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, works just fine as well. So when a Red Eyes monster declares an attack, you can target 1 Warrior Monster in your graveyard, equip it to this card as an equip spell that gives this card 200 attack. When a card or effect is activated that targets a card you control, you can send 1 equipped card to negate this activation and destroy that card. If this card is destroyed, special summon as many monsters from your graveyard as possible that were equipped to this card. This card has been around for a long time. It's super cheap, super efficient, off Red Eyes Fusion, a solid body with 3k attack usually, and also a decent strong effect that provides some sort of protection and kind of synergizes with the theme of equipped cards we have here in this deck. Next up, we have the Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, one of the new cards from the Selection Box Volume 3 Mini. 2 level 7 monsters. It cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has an Exceed material. While it has an Exceed material, each time your opponent activates a card or an effect, inflict 250 damage to your opponent immediately after it resolves. Once per turn on either player's turn, you can detach 1 Exceed material, then summon 1 Red Eyes normal monster in your graveyard. I actually think this card has a really strong effect, but it is not a core piece of the deck. I've never summoned it to do anything meaningful because for this deck list, the 2 level 7 monsters have to be the normal Red Eyes Black Dragon and the Red Eyes / Dragon, and I'm not sure that sacrificing the Red Eyes / Dragon to summon this is actually a good deal. After that, we just play a bunch of rank 4 exceeds. Your level 4 target is Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, but they are easy to come by. We see the usual suspects: Excalibur because Gearfried is a warrior type, creating a 4k body for lethal or just to get over things. Blade Armor Ninja is another possible monster to push lethal. We have Malevolent Sin, which is probably the best rank 4 exceed in a general sense. Steel Swarm Roach to disrupt certain decks, as well as Diamond Dire Wolf to pop one of stuff. All the usual suspects. They're not core to the deck, so if you don't have them, feel free to play whatever you want or what you think works the best for you. Okay, on to the main deck monsters. Not a new card per se, but it was reprinted in the Selection Box Volume 3 Mini. Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight. Now this is probably one of the more important cards in the deck. Once per turn, if either player equips an equipped card to this deck, you can destroy those equipped cards. Then you can destroy one spell or trap card your opponent controls. Once per turn, you can send one equipped card you control that is equipped to this card to the graveyard, then target one level 7 or lower red eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So some sort of back row hit, some synergy with equipped cards, and it also can potentially be like a quick play back row pop if you manage to equip it on your opponent's turn. So you'll see some nice combos we play with this card. Next up, we have the Black Metal Dragon, not a red eyes card by itself, but you can target one red eyes monster you control and equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. It gains 600 attack, and if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one red eyes card from your deck to your hand. So it's an equip, you can put it onto your Gearfried or Slash Dragon as fodder for their effects. Additionally, when you pop it for these effects, there's synergy for you to get stuff from your deck. So sometimes you might even want to pop it when you don't need the main effect but you actually want the card search into something like a red eyes fusion. It could be important as well. It can also equip from the field, not particularly important, but it's good to know sometimes, especially like when you set it as fodder but it's not destroyed, you can use it as an equip from the field as well. Next, we play one Red Eyes Retro Dragon. So if a level 7 or lower Red Eyes is destroyed while this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card in defense, and if you do, special summon as many of those destroyed monsters as possible in the same position that they were destroyed. You can tribute this card to normal summon one red eyes monster during your main phase this turn in addition to your normal summon or set. So mainly it's a defensive card, not only as a meat shield, but it also brings back the monster that got destroyed, which seems weak but it's actually a lot of value when it happens, especially if more than one monster got destroyed. We play one Red Eyes Baby Dragon. I really like this card in the deck and I would probably play more if I actually had more copies. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, take note, only by battle, you can special summon one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck, and if you do, equip this card from the graveyard to it. It gains 300 attack. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can add one level 1 dragon type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So what you usually do is this card gets destroyed by battle, you special summon like a Gearfried from your deck, equip this card to it, proc the Gearfried effect, pop an opponent's back row and get either a Black Metal Dragon or a Black Stone of Legend into your hand. That's a whole lot of value, and the problem is that it must be destroyed by battle specifically, and very often I run this card into my opponent's monster as a kamikaze attack to start the combo, and I really like this card. Next up, we play two Black Stone of Legend. You can tribute this card, special summon one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck. If it's in your graveyard, you can target one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster and shuffle it back into the deck and add this card into your hand. You can only use one effect per turn and only once per turn, so I don't really like this card, but it searches for what you need. I think in other Red Eyes variants, this is a good way of summoning the vanilla Red Eyes Black Dragons, but mostly in this deck we only get Gearfried from this because we want to preserve the Red Eyes Dragon in the deck to utilize Red Eyes Fusion targeting the Red Eyes Black Dragon from the deck. That said, that provides a +1 in theory and also a possibility for you to return Red Eyes monsters back into your deck, which you might need sometimes. Next up, we play one AD Changer. Super awesome target for the Red Eyes Fusion because it has an effect from the graveyard for you to main phase change one monster's battle position. Of course, you can use it to change one of your opponent's monsters into defense for you to attack into. Additionally, it helps you to deal with Canadia, Book of Moon, and even your own Red Eyes Fusion, giving you an additional attack which can be lethal. It's a classic target. I don't know why some people don't want to play this card. Lastly, for the monsters, one vanilla Red Eyes Black Dragon, the target for a lot of cards. But please remember not to summon this for no reason because mostly we want it in our deck or hand for Red Eyes Fusion, which I think is more valuable. If it accidentally ends up in the graveyard, your Red Eyes Fusion and Red Eyes Slash Dragon is dead, which is why we had Black Stone of Legend as a possible out. We play a trap deck, so we only play two spells, one Red Eyes Fusion. Fusion summon one fusion monster, i.e. Red Eyes Slash Dragon, but using monsters from your hand, deck or field as fusion materials. If you do, its name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon. You cannot normal or special summon other monsters the turn you activate this card. You can only activate Red Eyes Fusion once per turn, so once again, this is why I play AD Changer. You can't normal or special summon, but you can actually normally set. So when you actually normally set, then use an AD Changer to flip that set card face up. We only play one of this card and one of Red Eyes / Dragon. You could play more if you wanted to, you can adjust the numbers accordingly, but in this particular deck, I wanted to focus more on Gearfried and the equip mechanic. So if you want to play a Red Eyes / deck, it's been around for quite a while already, just slap 3 of the structure deck together. Not what we're trying to do today. Of course, the next spell is Red Eyes Insight. Send 1 Red Eyes monsters from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Then add 1 Red Eyes spell or trap from your deck to your hand, except Red Eyes Insight. You can only activate 1 Red Eyes Insight per turn. So mostly, we search for Red Eyes Fusion. If that's dead, we can get our Red Eyes Fang with Chain or Red Eyes Spirit. Also, putting a Gearfried in the graveyard might be beneficial for your Red Eyes / Dragon if you need a warrior in your graveyard, especially if you intend to use the AD Changes effect, which removes itself from the graveyard. That's all for spells. Okay, now for the traps. The theory is that you can actually play whatever good traps you have. You can just filter the popular traps and then put them in. The deck would probably be better if you actually played those strong traps that we typically see in like Shiranui or stall decks. But for this particular list, I wanted to streamline and choose the traps that had synergy and some that I personally favor even though they are not commonly used. Of course, feel free to play the traps according to what you have and what you like. This is just like a skeleton base for the deck. You can add the spice yourself. First up, Red Eyes Fang with Chain. This along with the Gearfried is what made me want to play this deck. Super expensive as of now because it's only available through the Selection Box Volume 3 Mini. I'm sure it'll be printed into a normal box one day and it'll be cheaper. The effect is target 1 Red Eyes monster you control, equip this card to it. It can make up to 2 attacks on monsters each battle phase. You can send this equipped card to the graveyard and target 1 effect monster on the field. Equip that target to the monster this card was equipped to, and if you do, while a monster is equipped to it by this effect, its attack and defense becomes equal to the original attack and defense of the equipped monster. So it doesn't sound very strong, like you can attack 2 monsters, like what's the point? That's not the main thing. It's essentially removal for effect monsters, which is almost everything except Blue Eyes right now, and it's not a destroy effect, so it bypasses certain restrictions as well. On top of that, you can equip this onto your Gearfried, proc the effect, remove one of your opponent's effect monsters by equipping it to the Gearfried, and then upon equip, Gearfried effects pops that monster to pop one of your opponent's spell and trap. It's a bit complicated, but when you see in action, it's actually quite insane. One problem with this card is that the equip and the effect are sort of like 2 separate things. So if this card is not already equipped, when you chain the effect, it's only to equip the card. You can't actually activate the effect of, equipping your opponent's monsters immediately when you equip Red Eyes Fang with Chain. Which is kind of bad because you sort of have to preemptively equip it, but then when you do that, you're actually giving information away. So in terms of battle, there's a bit of wiggle room. You can equip when your opponent declares the attack, and then proc the effect during the battle phase, which is not the same chain, so pay attention to that. If you don't have this card yet, no issues, you can definitely tag some other traps into this deck. Next, I play 1 Fiendish Chain, target 1 effect monster, negate the effect, and it cannot attack. Great card to negate monster's effect and also protect you from attacks. Be careful though, because this is a trap heavy and equip heavy deck, so it stays on the field until the targeted monster is destroyed and potentially it can clog up your board. So this is one of the interesting picks, Bad Aim. I play 3 of. I love this card, I've loved it ever since I played it in the Dragunity deck. And when your opponent's card or effect is activated, you can target 1 card other than that card and destroy it. It doesn't negate, but it is a sort of 1-for-1 pop, and the fun part is that when they try to MST or Cyclone it, you then go and pop something else on their side. It might not be the best trap and not everybody will like it, but I think it's a cool trap to play. Next, I play 2 Blasts with Chain. I would play 3 if I had 3. Target 1 face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target. It gains 500 attack, and if this card is destroyed by a card effect while equipped, target 1 card on the field, destroy that target. So another equipped card, equip it to Gearfried. Gearfried's first effect can destroy it to pop 1 spell or trap, and then you can destroy 1 more of your opponent's card when this card is destroyed by Gearfried's effect. which you can do on your opponent's turn if you activate it then. So that can sort of disrupt their setup a little bit. Additionally, if it's getting targeted for MST or some destruction, you can actually activate it to equip, and then when it gets destroyed, you get to pop something. Note that Gearfried's second effect to special summon from the graveyard, as well as Red Eye / Dragon's effect to negate the target's effect, do not actually destroy the equipped card. They only send it to the graveyard, so it doesn't actually proc this Blast with Chains effect. But if you ultimately need to equip it for the 500 attack or just to proc the main abilities of the negate or the special summon, of course don't hesitate to use it just because it's not efficient. Just pay attention, only Gearfried's first effect to pop the opponent's spell and trap actually destroys the equipped card, which can proc Blast with Chain. Next up, Void Trap Hole. I think this card should be played more in the current meta actually. When your opponent special summons a monster with 2000 or more attack, negate the effects of one of those monsters with 2000 or more attack. If you do, destroy it. It's so much value and it shuts so much down. For example, targeting a Resonator deck's Red Rising Dragon effectively ruins their turn and one Red Rising Dragon. You can also do that for Thunder Dragon's Leveneer or any good important card because it usually fits in that 2000 attack and special summon criteria. Negating the effect and destroying it for one card is such a power play. It might be a dead card versus certain decks, but against most decks in the meta, it's such a value play. And the very last card here, 2 Red Eye Spirit. Target 1 Red Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. This is the reason I only play 1 Slash Dragon and 1 Red Eyes Fusion, because it only takes me 1 card to get it back, and it's a more flexible play as well. So the value of playing more Red Eyes Fusion and Red Eyes Black Dragon is really diminished when you can just Red Eyes Spirit out the Red Eyes Slash if it gets destroyed. Yep, so that's the deck. One more shout is actually Treacherous Trap Hole. You might want to consider playing it. It sounds stupid because you can't actually activate it if you have a trap in your graveyard, but Endless Trap Hell removes all traps from your graveyard, so that is something you might want to consider. Overall, the deck is just alright. It wins more than it loses, but it gets disrupted really easily. It's also super expensive for its performance. Traps can also be really problematic and slow, which is a reason why quick play spells are sort of in right now, because you can't really play traps on your turn when you set them, which opens you up to disruption and a lack of reaction to your opponent's plays. It also takes some time to get used to all the timings, which effects to actually activate and which to actually ignore, but once you get used to it, the deck is really fun. Wombo combos, and it tends to catch your opponent off guard because people don't really quite know what you're trying to do, so they often don't react in the most optimal way. Of course, a mandatory 5-game win streak in Legend, so it possibly gets you into King of Games, but I must confess, it was really difficult to get that win streak. The win rate for the deck is actually pretty alright, but I don't know if it was just me or the opponents I faced. It felt really difficult to get that 5-game win streak. The deck overall is probably not worth its weight in gems, and I wouldn't encourage you guys to build it, but I built it, so I hope you guys enjoy it. If you like this video, do help me drop a like on it to let me know, and I'll keep making more videos like this one. If you're new here, why not consider subscribing to the channel? I make mobile gaming content, mostly Duel Links, but also many others. As of recording, I just got to my 50th subscriber, which I'm so thankful for. Thank you to each and every one of you for supporting the channel, and it really means a lot to me. I'm now pushing to get to my first 100 subscribers, so if you guys like my content, once again hit the subscribe button and join me in growing this channel. Alright, thanks again, and here's Red Eyes Trap Hell with Red Eyes Fang with Chain going on a 5-game win streak in Legend. Hope you guys enjoy it. Stay safe. Bye bye.
Duel! We're dancing, New Jersey. Your eyes said I'd be worried. You said it was nothing, but I know you get through. The sorrow of us, the sorrow of us. How did we end up here? We used to laugh so hard. When did we stop loving, babe? When did it all go too far? We don't listen when we talk. We fight fire with fire. We don't know how to talk without the flames getting higher. You hear what I hear? Yeah, nothing else in between. Try to connect without making a scene, but we don't listen. We don't listen when we talk. We don't listen when we talk. I know you have your reasons to yell at me tonight, baby. Can we see this as a lesson? Then maybe we should open up the sorrow of us, the sorrow of us. How did we end up here? We used to laugh so hard. When did we stop loving, babe? When did it all go too far? We don't listen when we talk. We fight fire with fire. It's like we don't know how to talk without the flames getting higher. You hear when I hear. Yeah, nothing else in between. Yeah, try to connect without